A girl named Mia was walking along the quiet streets of her small town when suddenly a buzzing sound caught her attention. She turned her head and saw a bee flying toward her. It landed on her cheek, and she couldn't help but feel a little startled. But then something even more bizarre happened. Another bee flew up to her, and then another, until her face was completely covered with the tiny insects. At first, she was terrified and her heart raced with fear. But then she realized that the bees weren't stinging her. In fact, they were tickling her face, and the sensation was surprisingly pleasant. Mia stood frozen, not wanting to make any sudden movements that might provoke the bees. She didn't know what to do, but she couldn't just stand there with her face covered in bees. She cautiously reached up to brush them away, but they didn't budge. The bees seemed to be enjoying their new home. Mia began to panic, wondering if the bees would ever leave her. She didn't want to hurt them, but she couldn't go on living like this. As she stood there, feeling completely helpless, a stranger approached her. The woman's eyes widened in shock as she saw the bees covering Mia's face. "Don't move," the woman whispered as she slowly pulled out her phone. She dialed a number and held it up to Mia's ear. A soothing voice answered on the other end, telling Mia to stay calm and still. The voice belonged to a local beekeeper who had experience in handling swarms of bees. Mia closed her eyes and listened to the voice on the phone, hoping that help would come soon. She could feel the bees buzzing around her face, and the sensation was both terrifying and exhilarating. She wondered if the beekeeper would be able to save her from this strange predicament. Finally, she heard the sound of a car pulling up. The beekeeper stepped out, dressed in full protective gear, and approached Mia slowly. She carefully removed the bees from Mia's face, placing them gently in a box. Mia watched in awe as the swarm was safely removed, and the beekeeper explained that they were probably just looking for a new place to call home,